country, although they had nuclear material spewing out the back end. It wasn't allowed here in the United States. The same engineer who told me about the B-52 also mentioned that he worked on the NEPA program back in 1960 at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Hangar Number 4, Bay E, in 1960. He reported working on a 40-foot disc that looked very similar to this. It had very strange 4 robust landing gear configuration. So I asked the question to him, why would you need these gigantic robust landing gear struts? And I said, is it because of provisions for fuel? And he said, nope, that's not the reason. And then I asked, was this thing carrying some interesting cargo? And he said, nope. And at that point, he was about ready to hang up the phone, and I remember they were working on atomic-powered aircraft at the time. So I asked him, was this the shielding for a nuclear reactor? He said, yes. So that was one of the NEPA programs that was actually being worked on. Good photograph of T. Townsend Brown. He is the father of Electro Critics, and I propose that each one of you today is familiar with this particular technology, because if you trace the lineage and do a patent search on something called the device that moves air without any moving parts, something that you'll see at a high-tech store in the malls, it's the Air Breeze. The same technology is used by T. Townsend Brown. Here is his patent. That's 3,187,206. It's called the Ionic Breeze. He's charging this capacitor plate to positive and the opposite to negative. There was a resultant movement in the direction of the positive charge, and that's what this graphic illustrates here. So there's no moving parts within this propulsion system, but yet these disks are moving on their own by the B-field-Brown effect. Hunt for Zero-Point Energy by Nick Cook is a very good book that talks about how this technology is used and where the origins of some of these demonstrators actually come from. The only known illustration of a top-secret aircraft that crashed in the East German border region during the first month of the Bush Sr. administration. Had a crew of 2 that sat tandem. Now I'm proposing that this was a Lockheed design just for the fact that you can see the same faceted flat plate technology used on the F-117. It had 3 balls. There were 2 up front, 1 in the aft section, and when this particular aircraft crashed that you'll see right here, there was a hull breach on the port side, and then near the aft section of the hull there was a crack or bent at about a 15-degree angle. One of these balls popped out, was later recovered by crew. It had the consistency of a pineapple or a seashell, and there was a interesting gold braid embedded into these balls. And when these gentlemen recovered one of these spheres and they put this box around it, this box actually popped up on its own. So it had some residual effects still going on. So that was the 1989 crash on the East German border. The G engines are coming. By far the most potent source of energy is gravity. Using it as power for future aircraft will attain the speed of light. That's what we're exactly talking about. G engines, atomic-powered aircraft. July 1957, Mechanics Illustrated article spoke specifically about the fact that at least 14 United States universities and other research centers are hard at work cracking the gravity barrier. Convair on the West Coast, Glenn L. Martin Aircraft Company of Baltimore, Maryland, Bell Aircraft Company of Buffalo, New York, Sperry Gyroscope Company of Great Neck, New York, maintain teams of researchers and engineers prying into nature's most jealously guarded secret, which is gravity. So by 1957, according to Mechanics Illustrated, they were already working on how to harness gravity. Popular Science wrote an interesting article about the remote test site, also known as Area 51. They do have the largest dry lakebed runway in the world. You can land 1 space shuttle on either side and still have 5,000 feet in between. They also have 2 half-paved, half-dry lakebeds which are supporting runways at the remote test site. Now, you can definitely see some of these programs ongoing at something called the Northrop RCS Range, not too far from Tehachapi, California. This is the map on how to get to their range. What you'll see when you get here are these things, which are not in fact runways. These are radar cross-section